Hey, before we dive into this week's episode of Wars Wednesday, I just want to remind everybody we got an official sponsor, Print Pirate. The link to their Etsy store is down below. Make these awesome 3D printed tokens for your Star Wars Unlimited games. Also some other cool Star Wars stuff, like helmets, Christmas ornaments, and use code BOARDBARISTA to get 25% off. Again, link down below. Hey, honey?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey everybody, have you ever wanted to draft for free? To play sealed deck for free? To not have to be able to get 4 or 8 of your friends together to play some limited and not have to go out and buy an entire box to do it with? Well, guess what? You can do it with cube drafting! Or, cube sealed deck. Anyways, a cube is what you're going to need in order to save cash and build your limited skills. So I have been a cube drafter since 2009. I have owned a cube for Magic the Gathering since 2013. I've had a Star Wars CCG cube. To me, it's a great way to play limited. It's also a great way to equalize the playing field. From it's not my wallet versus your wallet, my collection versus your collection. If I've got 3 of everything, or 4 of everything, if I've got play sets, you have as many copies of the card you can have in your deck, and you've got a copy of every single card, play sets of every card ever printed, then you can build whatever deck you want. But if your friends are just starting out, new to the game, and they can't build every deck, then having a cube really does bring everybody down to that flat level. It's not my collection versus yours, it's my skill versus yours. And it also builds a lot of the skills that are needed for limited. Card evaluation skills, snap decision skills, just really ingraining in the whole deck building skills, because you're building your deck every time you play with this. Either you're building from a drafting pool of draft you've picked out of the packs as they've gone around the table, or a set pool that you've just been handed to you by opening a bunch of packs. So really, when I built my first cube long ago, it was a 1-set cube, because normally cube is somewhere between 360 to give everybody, like 360 Magic the Gathering cards is a small cube. That's the bare minimum you need for drafting, because Magic the Gathering is sold in 15 card booster packs. Because Star Wars Unlimited is being sold in 16 card booster packs, we've expanded that out, but not really, because in booster packs you get the bases, and I'm like, let's just leave the bases out. So let's stay at 360 as our minimum. You're not going to put bases into these packs because nobody really picks the bases they drafted. You're able to choose whatever basic base you want. So let's stay at, everybody needs 45 cards. So 45 cards times 8. 360. If you want to have 16 players, you need a collection of 720 cards. Now, we don't have 720 individual, unique, singleton Star Wars Unlimited cards, because Cube is traditionally done as a singleton format, which means you have 1 copy of every card. We don't even have 360. We've got 252, which means we're still a few sets away from somebody being able to put together a singleton cube and have everybody have the experience of having enough cards to build their deck out of. So what I propose is to do a single set cube. That is a cube that I invented. Like I said, the first cube I ever built was one of these single set cubes. I built it for Magic 2010 edition, and I built it for me and my friends to learn all of those valuable skills. The card evaluation, the deck building, being able to figure out the set and crack it so we could go to a local shop in Millinocket, Maine and actually go to that they had a weekly draft tournament. They do 2 drafts every Saturday, and every Saturday we would show up at that tournament and take first, second, third, and fourth. All 4 of us that drove down would come back, because during the week we were cube drafting a single set cube. Now, to build a single set cube, it's very easy. The supplies you're going to need are going to be a box to hold it all in, sleeves, and the cards. And for a single set cube, you're going to want to have the following. You're going to want to have 3 of every common base. You're going to want to have 2 of every common leader. You're going to want to have 1 of every rare leader. Now, you're not going to mix the common bases into the packs unless unless you're like building packs with like in team bags, but I'll talk about that later. But the rest of the entire cube is commons and uncommons, no rares. So you're going to want to grab 3 of every common and 2 common that's not a base or a leader, and 2 of every uncommon card. So that's going to give you your 360 cards right off the bat. Now you're probably wondering, why are we only using the rare leaders? So, and why not? Why aren't we putting some bombs in there? Why aren't we putting like Lukes and Vaders and all this cool stuff in there? Because we want to, like I said, I want to teach you how to evaluate the cards. I want to teach you how to build the decks. But what I don't want to teach you is to lean on the rares as a crutch. Because the chance of you cracking a Vader or cracking a Luke in a box is low. You might get one, you might get the other, you're not sure. So if the chances are that most of the drafts that you sit down to, you're not going to crack a legendary, or you're not going to crack the rare that you need for your deck, then don't go into your training thinking, oh yeah, I want to take this card right out. You want to get that rare drafting mentality out of your head, because sometimes when you crack a pack, the rare is not the card you want. So you're going to be, and especially people in the draft or rare drafting, the pack you get handed is going to be, there's not going to be a bomb rare, a big money rare in there. There's going to be some sort of jank. There's probably going to be a jank rare that may be a key influential piece to your deck, but it might not be a key piece to the deck. So when you get handed that after you pick your first card out of your 14 and your player to your right passes over his 13 cards that he didn't want, you're able to sit there and go, okay, what's the best common uncommon left in this pack? All right, that is the thing I need right here. That's the good stuff. So you're learning this. Another reason why, that's the whole thing. Focus, forget the rares. One of the things me and my buddies used to love to do after we drafted, we'd be like, if we could pick 3 rares, if we could Magical Christmas Land open 3 rares for this deck, what would they be? That's a question you ask yourself after doing a 1-set cube draft. It's like, what's the rares that can help me out here? Alright, so we talked about building. Another thing, like I said, people rare draft, they take the good ones, so you're probably not going to get past any really good rares. Another cool thing about this is not just to get you focusing on the commons and uncommons, is the fact that if something happens to this collection of commons and uncommons, I know there's a few rare leaders in here, but they're rare, they're not hyperspace, they're not showcase. The value of those are not going to be as high as anything else. That's probably the value to replace this is going to be super low. If some reason somebody ends up accidentally just walking off, they threw their deck in the box, something happens, they gotta leave, never to be seen again, I can easily replace commons, uncommons that get taken out of here. Not going to have to go out and buy another $20 card, just buy one card for like 20, 30, 40, 50, even $100 because somebody walked off with it. I just gotta go spend probably like a quarter for some cards, $1 or $2 at the most for anything. So, or people walking off with it. It's not the only thing that can happen to these. it could get damaged. You could just forget it yourself and it just disappears somehow, some way. It's not too hard to replace. If anything happens to this and you no longer have it, easy to replace. Plus, easy to build if you've cracked a few boxes, like I have. Price of this kind of cube is low, so I cracked a case and I think I got enough cards to actually build 2 of these, and still have all my playsets and everything. It's gonna be cheap. Okay, so how do you use the cube? Like I said, I'd leave the bases out. Just leave them a pile in the center of the table for people to grab as they need. Shuffle, take all the leaders, shuffle them up, deal them out to everybody at the start. Have everybody do the drafting process where you pass the leaders, pick a leader, pass the leaders to the left, to the right, pick another leader, pass it, and then auto pass that last one. Then I would do the deal out. Depending on, like, you probably understand, you'll probably know, like, if you want to, you can deal out all 3 packs at the same time from the cube box and just have them have 3 stacks packs of 14 cards sitting in front of them. If you're part of a group that's not used to drafting and have a lot of problems where stuff gets mixed up, then I'd do 1 pack at a time, so nothing gets confused. Another thing that would probably benefit in your supply run is getting some team bags. These penny sleeves that I'm using for my cube, they come in a little resealable package that the sleeves fit in just fine, and then fold down, and it's a little self-adhesive and sticks together. These are called team bags. You can pick these up at some gaming stores. A lot of baseball trading card stores will have team bags, so you can just organize like the teams from each set and put those together like this. They will hold 15, 16 double sleeve, like not double sleeve, but single sleeve cards, pretty easy. And then you can have the packs already made up. That's why I say if you got the bases sleeved, you can easily have the backs of the cards on one side and then put that token facing out with the base, and to hide what the leader unit is behind it, just like it is in the pack. So you can open the, you can open the pack, keep it face down, and then slide the leader and the base out, and go from there. I don't have any more team bags other than the few that I've got from my sleeves, so I'm gonna have to run to the store and pick some up myself. But yeah, and then once didn't just draft as normal with all of that stuff. So like I said, me and my buddies used to do this a couple nights a week. We would draft a we'd draft a single set cube of Magic 2010, and afterwards we wouldn't just play. We were a team, so this was our team's cube. Like, we were traveling to tournaments in a couple towns, and like we were traveling like an hour to go to the Millinocket tournaments to draft every weekend. So we were practicing and getting ready. So we were taking it seriously enough that we would have like a little debriefing mission, a mission debriefing after we got done playing our test thing. We'd be like, all right, so the person who won would be like, okay, walk us through, like, what did you pick? Why did you pick it? What's the plan you got going on here? We discuss after every little mini tournament we'd have. We'd sit down, we'd talk it through with each other, and be like, I like this. Have you thought about this card? We're just sitting there and just mulling stuff over. We talk about all cool little plays that people would make throughout the whole thing, and be like, oh, that was, dude, when you did this and baited me into this trick and killed my dude, or like you made, or the mistake that I kept seeing you make, and then we'd be like, yeah, you're making that mistake, we gotta work on it. We'd fine tune and like teach each other and share our information. And that's a really important thing to do if you have a dedicated small play group that meets up. So if you're cubing with your buddies and you got this dedicated cube group that meets over at somebody's house once a week or at the gaming store, is the same 8 people cubing together all the time, you guys can share your knowledge and really teach each other how to be better limited players really, really quick. just by having those mission debriefings afterwards. Another way to use the cube is not just team training for events, is to actually, we did this at Extreme Gaming in Holton, Maine, before their shop closed, right before COVID. We used to do once a month, I would take my Magic Cube in and we would have a cube tournament night where basically everybody would buy, the buy-in for it was the same as, it was like the same as one of our Commander Night tournaments. So it's everybody basically goes in, buys a pack, and then those packs got put into the prize pool. And we just basically be like, okay, first place gets like if we had 8 players, it would be like first place gets 4, second place gets 2, third and fourth get a pack each. So that was our prize payout. Or we do pack per win or different stuff like that, but it ended up basically, because that would be 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1. So it paid down to 5th place if we did like that. Yeah, that paid out to 5th place was pretty nice. But it's whatever your shop usually does for like it's having a limited tournament, but the buy-in and prize support ends up being the same type that your shop would do for a constructed tournament. So people are getting to have the experience of draft or sealed, but they're only paying the constructed price, and it's helping people out that have more of a fixed budget to be able to get their hands on cards, to be able to work with the cards, to be able to start thinking about other decks they want to build. Because the more you play with these cards, the more you play with the leaders, find the synergies, find out what works, find out what doesn't, you're starting to go, okay, yeah. I just remember I really like playing this leader, and when I played these cards together, or when my friend played that leader, they usually were picking these cards and they were doing really well with it. So again, teaching and also keeping the cost down. Having a monthly shop cube tournament is awesome. Like, especially if you do have that 720 ballpark. So it'd be 720 plus another 48, so it'd end up being 768, because you're going to have so if 24 liters, you're going to have 48 liters. But still, in a 1,000 count long box, you can still fit enough with sleeves. You can still fit enough cards in here to be able to carry that around, do a 16-person tournament, and have a lot of fun. And also, the variations of playing limited. I love playing limited because the first ever first ever experience I ever had about card games was an ad for Magic the Gathering's Ice Age, and the ad had beautiful art. Magic the Gathering, never play the same game twice. And I'm like, I like that, because when you play constructed, and you do have play sets, like in Magic you have 4 copies of every single card in your deck, you're going to see these repetitive lines of play. In constructed Star Wars Unlimited, you're going to see these repetitive lines of play where it's like, okay, if I have this card in my hand on turn 1, this is what I do. This is what I do on turn 3. This is what I do on turn 4. This is what I do on turn 5. Constructed really does become repetitive. And that's why the more constructed you play, the better you get, because you're learning the lines of play, you're learning how you handle the interactions. If your opponent does X, Y, Z, you do A, B, C. You learn that, and it becomes rote, and becomes repetitive. With cube drafting, yes, all the cards are there, but the whole fact of the matter is it's random. You're never going to really build the same, you're never going to be able to draft the same pool every single time. There's going to be, you might be able to get some, like especially with this one where there's a lot of duplications of the cards, you're going to be able to pick a bunch of doubles, but you're not going to be picking, the same, you're not going to be able to build the same deck every time. There's going to be a core that's the same, but there's going to be variations, and it's going to be a different, not the same game every time, and I love that. One thing I would say is to future-proof this cube, because like I said, we do only have 252 unique Star Wars cards right now, and the way this works out is we have one, not counting the rares and legendaries in the set, that lowers the number down to so it's 150 non-base, non-legendary commons and uncommons, plus the 25 to 24 rare and common leaders. So that's 174 unique cards that we have right now to be able to build a cube with. That's way too low. Even if we did do just 2 of every card, we'd still be struggling, I think, to get into that magic number, because that would still only be 340 some odd, like 344 cards, I believe. Check my math in the comments if I'm wrong, but that's still too low to build a 360 card cube. So we're going to need some sets to come out for a while. So my whole theory is that depending on the size of the next set, I might just cut one of every card from this, except for like the rare leaders, and then just add one of every uncommon slash rare, and for non-leader base cards, and then one of every common, non-leader, non-base. Then go in and add 2 of every common leaders we might get in the next set, and one of every rare leader we add in the next set, and then just start building my numbers from there until we can start cutting down and start building a singleton thing set, and then start figuring out all of that stuff. I've went really into the weeds of like, how do we build a cube once we have 360 unique Star Wars cards that are not generic bases. That is something way in the future. I think right now, just go grab 1 of every common base, 2 of every common leader, 1 of every rare leader, and then just fill in 3 of each common, 2 of each uncommon you haven't put together yet. Shuffle all that stuff up and get 7 friends together. You can do these. I've done 4 for like multiplayer, like the Twin Suns format. You can go down to being like 4 players. You can do it for sealed deck is 4. I like usually, like if we got like 5 or 6 of us, we usually end up doing we end up basically drafting and playing multiplayer games with my Magic Cube, which was really geared towards that towards the end. But I know this is a lot of information, a lot of dumping, but yeah, I can't stress just how much fun Cube is, and how much of a skill boost it is to be able to actually draft with your friends, with your teammates, and being able to just develop your skills so much faster in this game. It's just so important. So go out, build your cube. If you're in Louisiana area, I will make sure to bring this with me some night. Well, I can probably bring it with me to the next couple tournaments I go to. So if I get enough interest and we get enough people who want to get together and cube draft, maybe I can talk some of the local shops. Maybe one of these game nights we can actually just instead of doing sealed, instead of doing drafts, instead of doing constructed, maybe we can bust out the cube and play a little that style. So hope to get many miles out of this, and I'll see you all later. Peace.
Hey everybody, thanks for staying till the end of the episode. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Follow us on Facebook at Board Barista Productions. And if you want to support us, Patreon link at the bottom.